Hey everybody, welcome to Reading the Bible to Cats. They're being really cute, so I thought I just wanted to, show you how cute they are. Look at that. They are so cute. Welcome. Did I say welcome to Reading the Bible to Cats? It's kind of a mouthful. Okay, hold on. We will read. Hold on, let me position the camera. Isn't that cute? Not cute. Hold on. Oh man, I don't know why I have trouble positioning the camera. Okay. Let me get up from the sofa and not distract them. Sorry, I can't quite get it right. Oh well, let me just hold it here. And then I'll figure out what we need to read. Oh, that is so cute. It's like Henry's like a little clamshell shape. And Guster's like nestled in oak is gonna start kicking. Okay, well, let's set this down and maybe I can do it over here. Oh man, hold on. Let me grab the Bible. Let me zoom in here. Hold on. That's cute. Uh-oh. Guster's paying attention to me. I think he wants a hug from me. Okay, let's not focus on him right now. Otherwise, he'll come over here. Let me figure out what to read. Should I just read a verse? I hope you all are doing well today. I got some good rest last night, so that's good. But I woke up really late and now it's Sunday and I'm kind of thinking, what? I don't have any motivation. Let's see. I'm just going to do, maybe I should read from, okay, let me check where we last were on our reading through the Bible, and maybe I'll just pounce on that. I'm looking at my channel to see what I last read in terms of, Hebrews and Hebrews 12. Yeah, let's read Hebrews 12. And hold on. I wish my I don't know, I wish the color in my camera were better, because I don't feel like it's that great. Oh well. Okay, so let me pull the Bible. You all have to confess something to you. I'm like a slob. I'm kind of down about it because I need to get organized. You can pray for me. I have the heart of a minimalist, but no, not the heart. I have the, no, how to put it? I have the deep, deep wish to be a minimalist, but the heart of a maximalist and artist with clutter all over. All right, I read somewhere that it's not to be called clutter anymore, but when you have clutter, it's like you can just say it's clusterful. I don't know. Random. Okay, so let's turn to Hebrews chapter 12. Hebrews chapter 12. But I do need to get that under control. I mean, I have boxes here that I haven't unpacked. I packed because I thought it was moving, and then that was not happening, and then I just never unpacked the boxes, and it's been like a year. True confessions. Because I keep thinking, well, you don't want to unpack the boxes and then pack them again because you might be moving. And it's been a year. And so that's embarrassing. Okay, well, let's pounce on Hebrews chapter 12. And I think what I'll do is I'll read it from the first century study Bible, NIV, and as well as the complete Jewish study Bible. Okay, so let's pounce on it. Hebrews chapter 12. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. And have you completely forgotten this word of encouragement that addresses you as a father addresses his son? It says, quote, "My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son." Unquote. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, then you're not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? They disciplined us for a little while as they thought best, but God disciplines us for our good in order that we may share in his holiness. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Therefore, strengthen your feeble arms and weak knees. Make level paths for your feet, so that the lame may not be disabled, but rather healed. Make every effort to live in peace with everyone and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. See that no one is sexually immoral or is godless like Esau, who for a single meal sold his inheritance rights as the oldest son. Afterward, as you know, when he wanted to inherit this blessing, he was rejected. Even though he sought the blessing with tears, he could not change what he had done. You have not come to a mountain that can be touched and that is burning with fire, to darkness, gloom, and storm, to a trumpet blast, or to such a voice speaking words that those who heard it begged that no further word be spoken to them, because they could not bear what was commanded. Quote, "If even an animal touches the mountain, it must be stoned to death." Unquote. The sight was so terrifying that Moses said, "I am trembling with fear." But you have come to Mount Zion, to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem. You have come to thousands upon thousands of angels in joyful assembly, to the church of the firstborn, whose names are written in heaven. You have come to God, the judge of all, to the spirits of the righteous made perfect, to Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel. See to it that you do not refuse him who speaks. If they did not escape when they refused him who warned them on earth, how much less will we if we turn away from him who warns us from heaven? At that time, his voice shook the earth, but now he has promised, quote, once more I will shake not only the earth, but also the heavens, unquote. The words once more indicate the removing of what can be shaken, that is, created things, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. Therefore, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful and so worship God acceptably with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire. Everyone, that is the end of Hebrews chapter 12. And there's so much in here. I'm going to keep this Bible open and I'm going to read it again in the Complete Jewish Study Bible. So let's read it again in this translation, Hebrew, and then we'll look at some study notes. Hebrews chapter 11. Where are you in this Bible? Oh, here. Okay, just open to it. Okay. Okay, so this is, I'm sorry, Hebrews chapter 12. What? Okay, let me turn to Hebrews chapter 12. Here you are. Okay, so let's pounce on it in this translation. And I'll try, if there are Hebrew words, I'll try to pronounce them. By the way, thanks for all your help in helping me pronounce stuff in the Hebrew. Okay. So then, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us too put aside every impediment, that is, the sin, which easily hampers our forward movement, and keep running with endurance in the contest set before us, looking away to the initiator and completer of that trusting, Yeshua, who in exchange for obtaining the joy set before him, endured execution on a stake as a criminal, scorning the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Yes, think about him who endured such hostility against himself from sinners, so that you won't grow tired or become despondent. You have not yet resisted to the point of shedding blood in the contest against sin. Also, you have forgotten the counsel which speaks with you as sons. Quote, my son, don't despise the discipline of Adonai, or become despondent when he corrects you. For Adonai disciplines those he loves, and whips everyone he accepts as a son. Unquote. Regard your endurance as discipline. God is dealing with you as sons. For what son goes undisciplined by his father? All legitimate sons undergo discipline. So if you don't, you're an illegitimate son and not a true son. Furthermore, we had physical fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them. How much more should we submit to our spiritual Father and live? For they disciplined us only for a short time and only as best they could, but he disciplines us in a way that provides genuine benefit to us and enables us to share in his holiness. Now, all discipline, while it is happening, does indeed seem painful, not enjoyable. But for those who have been trained by it, it later produces its peaceful fruit, which is righteousness. So, strengthen your drooping arms and steady your tottering knees, and make a level path for your feet, so that what has been injured will not get wrenched out of joint, but rather will be healed. Keep pursuing shalom with everyone and the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one misses out on God's grace, that no root of bitterness springing up causes trouble and thus contaminates many, and that no one is sexually immoral or godless like Esau, who in exchange for a single meal gave up his rights as the firstborn. For you know that afterwards, when he wanted to obtain his father's blessing, he was rejected, Indeed, even though he sought it with tears, his change of heart was to no avail. For you have not come to a tangible mountain, to an ignited fire, to darkness, to murk, to a whirlwind, to the sound of a shofar, and to a voice whose words made the hearers beg that no further message be given to them, for they couldn't bear what was being commanded them. Quote, if even an animal touches the mountain, it is to be stoned to death, unquote. And so terrifying was the sight that Moshe said, I am quaking with dread. On the contrary, you have come to Mount Zion, that is the city of the living God, heavenly Yerushalayim, to myriads of angels in festive assembly, to a community of the firstborn whose names have been recorded in heaven, to a judge who is God of everyone, to spirits of righteous people who have been brought to the goal, to the mediator of a new covenant, Yeshua, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks better things than that of Hevel. See that you don't reject the one speaking. For if those did not escape who rejected him when he gave divine warning on earth, think how much less we will escape if we turn away from him when he warns from heaven. Even then, his voice shook the earth. But now he has made this promise, quote, one more time I will shake not only the earth, but heaven too, unquote. And this phrase, one more time, makes clear that the things shaken are removed, since they are created things, so that the things not shaken may remain. Therefore, since we have received an unshakable kingdom, let us have grace through which we may offer service that will please God with reverence and fear, for indeed, quote, our God is a consuming fire, unquote. Okay, everyone, that is the end of Hebrews chapter 12, and I do love this. There are some things, let's see, 3 points I want to talk about. Let me see if that's true. Okay, that I want to talk about 3 things. Maybe it's 4. I don't know, maybe 2. Well, the first thing is the first verse, that we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. I want to explore that. And then the discipline that's mentioned here. And then, the Mount Zion. Okay, I'll try and focus on those 3 things. But let's see in this study Bible what it says. Let me look. Okay, I'll just read the study notes in this study Bible. Then I'll look in my other Bibles for their study notes and then maybe talk about it. Okay, verse 7. About verse 7, God is dealing with you as sons. Israel collectively is God's son. Exodus 4, verse 22, Hosea 11, verse 1, Matthew 2, verse 15, Romans 9, verse 4, thus indicating the irrevocable nature of God's covenant with his people. Likewise, each believer, Jewish or Gentile, is individually God's son or daughter by virtue of being united with God's only begotten Son, Yeshua the Messiah. Romans 8, verses 14 through 19, and verse 29, Galatians 4, verses 1 through 7, and Revelation 21, verse 7. Okay. About verse 8, if you don't, you're an illegitimate son and not a true son. In Rabbinic Judaism, this is a technical term referring to the child of a marriage prohibited in Leviticus 18, similar to bastard, quote unquote. It can express strong contempt. John chapter 9, verse 34. Okay. About verses 18 through 21. You have not come to a tangible mountain. The awesome appearance of Mount Sinai when God gave the Torah to the people of Israel demonstrated God's holiness. See Exodus 19, verses 16 through 20, Exodus 20, verses 15 through 18, Deuteronomy 4, verses 10 through 13. A theophany, an appearance of God to mankind, was often accompanied by fire. Exodus 13, verse 21, Judges 13, verse 20, 1 Kings 18, verse 38. Darkness, Genesis 15, verse 12, Exodus 10, verse 21 through 22, Exodus 14, verse 20, 1 Kings 8, verse 12, Joel 3, verse 4, Amos 5, verse 18, and whirlwind. Nehemiah 1, verse 3, Job 37, verse 9, Job 38, verse 1, Zechariah 9, verse 14. Yeah. Yeah, the tangible mountain with all. Must have been scary. That is I who's speaking, not the study note. Yeah, it must have been scary. Obviously, it was terrifying. Nobody, when the Israelites were wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, they couldn't touch the mountain. Even an animal couldn't. Okay, about verse 19, to the sound of a shofar. The shofar will be heard in the end of days at the final manifestation of God. See Isaiah 27, verse 13, Zechariah 9, verse 14, which is identified more specifically in the New Testament as the Messiah's second coming. See Matthew 24, verse 31, 1 Corinthians 15, verse 52, 1 Thessalonians 4:16. See also Rosh Hashanah, Leviticus 23, verses 23 through 25, Micah 7:19, and Matthew 24:31. Okay, about verse 23, a community of the firstborn. Yeshua is supreme, as the word firstborn indicates. He's supreme over all creation. Literally, he is the firstborn of all creation. Colossians 1, verse 15. The firstborn from the dead, so that he might hold first place in everything. Okay, see Colossians 1, verse 18. About verse 24, that speaks better things than that of Hevel. Hevel, or Abel, was the first to die. Genesis 4, verses 3 through 10. And Yeshua, the last, since his death is timeless. While Hevel's blood brought only death, Yeshua's blood brings life. Leviticus 17, verse 11. About verse 26. Even then, his voice shook the earth. This refers back to Mount Sinai. See Judges 5, verses 4 through 5, Psalm 68, verse 9, Psalm 77, verse 19, and Psalm 114, verse 7. And this is the last study note in this Bible about verse 28, through which we may offer service. By accepting God's grace, we may offer service pleasing to God. The Hebrew word avodah means to work, labor, or give service, but it is also used as a technical term signifying specifically the sacrificial service in the tabernacle or temple. It is the common word for worship. See Hebrews 13, verse 15, and Romans 12, verse 1. Okay, so those are the study notes in this Bible. I want to look at the study notes in the other Bible. Oh, Henry turned, and now we're just seeing nothing too interesting. Let me turn to this one over here. Now you can see a little black beauty there. Okay, well. Okay, let's see if there's anything else in this one. Okay, verse 12. Oh, yeah. This one talks about verse 1, the cloud of witnesses, which I've always been so curious about. What does that mean? The word witness, Greek martyrs, can also mean spectator, which could be used in the translation of First Titus. I think that's Titus. First Titus chapter 6, verse 12. The author uses the arena or amphitheater as an image in which previous generations witness the present faith of the community as if they are fans in the crowd. Not long after Hebrews was written, Christians did in fact bear witness as martyrs in the arenas and amphitheaters of the empire in a literal sense that the author probably did not foresee. Okay, so I'm curious about that. Let me see if the other one says anything about the cloud of witnesses. I'm talking about the Archaeological Study Bible. Let me go there. Turning pages, turning pages. Okay. Yeah, let's see if there's anything mentioned here. It just says for commentary on running a foot race, see the note on Corinthians 9:24-27. The Greek word translated witnesses, the origin of the English martyr, means testifiers. These individuals bear testimony to the power of faith and to God's faithfulness. Okay. Well, to me, it sounds kind of like, I'd love your opinion on this, everyone, in the comments. If you think that means, verse 1, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. What do you think that means, everyone? Do you think that, because I've often wondered, do you think it means that we're surrounded by, a great heavenly cloud of witnesses who are spectators in our journey of faith, like in heaven? Meaning all these heroes of faith that Hebrews 11 talks about, like Noah and Samson and Abel and Cain and Rahab. I mean, and then including all our loved ones. Do you think, I guess my question is, based on this first verse, do you think they're cheering us on from heaven or witness to our faith journeys here on earth? That's what I've always wondered. So I'll throw that out to you. Okay, let me see what else I can read here. Did I read that one? Okay, about verse 12, feeble arms, weak knees. This image comes from Isaiah 35, verse 3. Well, I kind of want to look at that. Isaiah 35, verse 3. Hold on. Isaiah 35, verse 3. Turning pages. Turning pages. Okay, this is Isaiah 35, verse 3. Strengthen the feeble hands, steady the knees that give way. Say to those, and this is verse 4, say to those with fearful hearts, be strong, do not fear. Your God will come. He will come with vengeance, with divine retribution. He will come to save you. And then it goes on. That's a beautiful passage. Well, maybe I should read that. Okay. Let me go back and read that, but read this last study note, and then I'll read that Isaiah passage that is referenced here in Hebrews chapter 12. But let me read this study note here about verses 18 through 22, a mountain that can be touched, Zion, the heavenly Jerusalem. The author contrasts Mount Sinai, verses 18 through 21, which represents the Old Covenant, with Mount Zion, Jerusalem, which represents the dwelling place of those living under the New Covenant. Several passages seem to be the Old Testament background. For example, see Joel chapter 2, verse 32, Amos chapter 1, verse 2, and Micah 4, verse 2. Okay, let's read Isaiah 35 because it was referred to in Hebrews 12. In the Old Testament, in the Hebrew scriptures from the prophet Isaiah, chapter 35, the desert and parched land will be glad. The wilderness will rejoice and blossom. Like the crocus, it will burst into bloom. It will rejoice greatly and shout for joy. The glory of Lebanon will be given to it. The splendor of Carmel and Sharon, they will see the glory of the Lord, the splendor of our God. Strengthen the feeble hands, steady the knees that give way. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong, do not fear. Your God will come. He will come with vengeance, with divine retribution. He will come to save you. Then will the eyes of the blind be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then will the lame leap like a deer, and the mute tongue shout for joy. Water will gush forth in the wilderness, and streams in the desert. The burning sand will become a pool, the thirsty ground, bubbling springs. In the haunts where jackals once lay, grass and reeds and papyrus will grow, and a highway will be there. It will be called the way of holiness. It will be for those who walk on that way. The unclean will not journey on it. Wicked fools will not go about on it. No lion will be there, nor any ravenous beast. They will not be found there. But only the redeemed will walk there. And those the Lord has rescued will return. They will enter Zion with singing. Everlasting joy will crown their heads. Gladness and joy will overtake them, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. What a beautiful passage. Oh, that's good. I just sighed. I sigh a lot. I would look forward to that time when gladness and joy will overtake me, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. Oh, well, there's a study note here about verses 1 through 10, redemption of all things. Yeshua used these images from Isaiah to reveal that the Messianic age had dawned. See note on Matthew 11, verses 4 through 6. Okay, now I have to turn to Matthew 11. Okay, well, let's just do it. Matthew 11, verses, what was it? Matthew 11, verses 4 through 6. Okay, let's look at Matthew 11. Here's a study note. Isaiah fulfilled. Well, let me read Jesus's words here. Yeshua replied, "Go back and report to John what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk. Those who have leprosy are cleansed. The deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor. Blessed is anyone who does not stumble, let me take that verse again. Blessed is anyone who does not stumble on account of me." Okay, and here's the study note. Isaiah fulfilled. Yeshua, responded by pointing out that the events prophesied concerning the promised Messiah were being fulfilled. Isaiah 35, verses 1 through 10. Jesus was making an indirect claim to his messiahship. Jesus consistently avoided direct claims of his messiahship, as this would have certainly landed him in jail prematurely or incited his followers to push for revolt. See John chapter 6, verse 15. Jesus probably frustrated John the Baptist's initial fiery eschatological vision of judgment. Jesus' movement of healing was enough evidence that the Messianic age was dawning. Okay, that's interesting, isn't it? Okay, well, let me now turn to the study notes in the Archaeological Study Bible. Let's see. Or did I read that already? I don't know. I think I maybe did. About verse 22, Mount Zion is a reference not to the literal Zion, Jerusalem, and its southeast portion, but to the heavenly city of God and to those who dwell there with him. At least that's what this study note says. I wonder about that. Okay, what else? What else? Okay, here I'll read this long study note. This may be my longest video ever. It's a long little study note. Not that's a contradiction. A long little. It is a long study note in the Archaeological Study Bible. So let me look at that. So if you can hear like some hammering and sawing and stuff, it's my neighbors upstairs. They're doing some work in their place. Hope you can't. Okay, let me read this study note. Hebrews 12. The majority of about Hebrews 12. The majority of the earliest believers in Christ were Jews. Although the Jewish people as a whole did not accept the claims of Jesus, the earliest Christian documents do bear witness to a significant Jewish response to gospel preaching. Luke reported that 3,000 people responded to Peter's Pentecost sermon, Acts 2, verse 41, and that about 5,000 believed at a slightly later time, Acts 4, verse 4. When the Apostle Paul went up to Jerusalem around AD 58, the leaders of the Jerusalem church informed him of how many thousands of Jews have believed, Acts 21, verse 20. Since the population of Jerusalem at the time of Jesus was only around 40,000 people, these figures testify to the growth and historical existence of Jewish Christianity. The existence of Jewish churches finds explicit testimony in diverse sources. Acts 8, verse 1, Galatians 1, verse 22, 1 Thessalonians 2, verse 14. And archaeological excavations have revealed synagogues with Christian symbolism at Nazareth and Capernaum. These church communities endured a series of persecutions in the midst of a tumultuous era in Jewish history. Early leaders were arrested, Acts 4, verses 1 through 3, Acts 12, verse 3. People were ostracized from synagogues because of their faith in Christ, Luke 6, verse 22, John 9, verse 22, John 16, verse 2. And some suffered physically and endured the seizure of their property, Hebrews 10, verses 32 through 34. One of the leading instigators of persecution appears to have been Saul of Tarsus, Acts 9, verse 1, Philippians 3, verse 6. In AD 62, the leader of the church in Jerusalem, James, the brother of Jesus, was publicly executed by the reigning high priest, Ananus. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his name. Josephus, Antiquities 20.9.1, Eusebius, Ecclesiastical History 2.23.21 through 28. Despite such external pressures, the Jewish churches continued to expand and witness. At the outbreak of the first Jewish revolt against Rome, the Jewish Christian community refused to participate in the conflict. This refusal reflected a profound change in the Jewish Christian understanding of its purpose and mission. According to Eusebius, the Church of Jerusalem was warned through an oracle to flee the city and seek refuge across the Jordan in a city named Pella. Ecclesiastical History 3.5.3, cross-reference Luke 21, verses 20 through 21, and Revelation 12, verse 6. Some in the Jewish Christian community returned after the war under the leadership of Simeon, the cousin of Jesus. Ecclesiastical History 4.22.4. In theology and practice, Jewish Christianity possessed certain characteristics that set it apart from the emerging Gentile Christianity. Jewish Christianity may have had distinctive Christological emphases, such as referring to Jesus prominently as the prophet like Moses. Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 and 18. It produced a significant body of apocryphal literature. Unfortunately, most of this is known only in fragmentary form. Most significant is the Judeo-Christian veneration of the law of Moses. For Jewish Christians, faith in Christ was consistent with adherence to traditional practices such as circumcision, Sabbath keeping, and dietary restrictions. Acts 15, verses 1 and 5. Church leaders in Jerusalem described Jewish believers as zealous for the law. Acts 21, verse 20. For these reasons, Paul's preaching that Christ, not the law, was the center of all things. Colossians 2, verses 2 through 3, was often regarded with suspicion and even hostility. Acts 21, verse 21. And Paul had to defend this message throughout his writing. Romans 3, verse 31. As late as the 2nd century AD, the Christian apologist Justin Martyr still distinguished Christians of Jewish origin who demanded that Gentiles observe traditional commandments from those who were ready to accept those Gentiles who did not. Okay, that's the end of that study note. All righty, everybody. I don't know, maybe you're asleep because this is a long, rambling video. But what do I have to say about all this? Let me see. Well, firstly, I have to say I'm glad that I wasn't wandering in the wilderness all those centuries ago with my ancestors, afraid to approach the holy mountain. I mean, it does sound scary. And I'm grateful that there's a new covenant and that through Yeshua, God is approachable, accessible, and wants us to come to him. What else? The cloud of witnesses, it's very intriguing to me. I want to hear what your thoughts are about that. And then lastly, the discipline of God. Yeah, because Hebrews 12 talks about that. I have to say, I hate discipline. And I've always historically viewed anything in my life that is really kind of troublesome or a trial or trying as, oh no, is God mad at me? That kind of thing, where you're like, is God doing this because he's mad or upset with me? He must be upset with me. As opposed to, could this be because he loves me or he's disciplining me? So it kind of reframes discipline and correction as a loving thing from our Heavenly Father so that we can yield good fruit and produce peaceful, beautiful righteousness that emanates from us somehow. I've been through some things, and namely, I'm thinking offhand right now of my my terrible, catastrophic illness of 25 years ago. It was awful. And for a long time, I was like, Lord, you better not do that again. Because I guess I did blame God for it. And I didn't understand. And I thought maybe he was abusive. But after all these years, I can look back and say, if I hadn't gone through that horrible 5 months of Ebola-like illness, because the differential diagnosis for what I had was Ebola. It wasn't Ebola, but it was hemorrhagic, so it was like a bleeding and clotting thing, and awful. But I look back and say, if I hadn't gone through that, I don't think my faith would be as strong today at all. So I can finally say that. So not all illness is discipline for sure. It's some of it is just because we live in a fallen world, And some of it is so God can shine through us in some way that's enables him to really shine through us even as we suffer or go through trials and tribulations. Some of it's for the glory of God and for his purposes and has nothing to do with discipline or sin or anything, punishment, anything like that. But I guess God, Hebrews says he does discipline us. I'm not sure what shape that discipline takes in our lives, but I know I felt it. And when I have felt it, I've not been a very happy camper, that's for sure. But I would say that everything I've gone through, I guess in some way, has given me some empathy maybe that I didn't have before, or some gentleness that I didn't maybe have before. Anyway, but I'll be glad when we don't have suffering and when we are whole, on the other side of this place in eternity in heaven, and that he'll do away with death and suffering and sorrow and crying and all pain. So I look forward to that time. But anyway, I still want to hear your thoughts on the first verse of Hebrews chapter 12, the cloud of witnesses, what you think that means. Do you think heaven is witness to what we go through down here? Are they cheering us on? Let me know your thoughts. Oh gosh, I cannot believe this is a really long video. Okay, let me say a prayer. Lord, I lift up this entire video to you and all my ramblings, and just throw your word out there, cast my bread upon the waters, and pray that your word does not return void. I do pray for the rest of my day that I would have some motivation, because I'm kind of lacking motivation. I need a little bit of oomph in my spirit, Lord. I pray for everybody who's watching or listening, especially if they're sick or suffering, that you would give them a really strong and renewed excuse me, sense of purpose, and that they could feel your power within them, even in their weakness. I pray for all the suffering places on earth and all the suffering animals. I just point to them, Lord, and point to you and ask you to fix it. And of course, I pray for the peace of Jerusalem and Israel and for the protection of Israel. And I love Isaiah 35 that talks about the glory of Lebanon, because when I lived there, I really loved Lebanon, and it had a special quality. And I look forward to the day when there will be no more war, suffering, or pain, or death. And we thank the Messiah for coming the first time and for heading back a second time. And we look forward to that day when he returns. Pray these things in Yeshua HaMashiach's name, in Jesus' name, amen. Oh my gosh, this is almost an hour long. All right, bye.